let's get away from this, and let's get to our I guess you'd say the main event for this podcast. You
Yeah.
hinted at it earlier.
So yeah, something I was looking forward to. Speaking of, we just talked about Sean Rad, we're just gonna steal his tweet idea and make it into a podcast. So thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're going to be building a all-time WrestleMania card based on past matches. Uh, you have a we'll have two World Championship matches, two women's title matches, a celebrity match, an out of retirement match. So a wrestler coming out of retirement to wrestle. Present versus the past, a tag title match, a secondary title match, and a miscellaneous match.
Yep.
And the caveat is you can only use each wrestler once. So
Yes.
this
And
is when we're taking this WrestleMania is taking place on Battle World essentially, and we can
and
take
I'll go out on a limb. Um, I noticed a lot of people are having trouble on Twitter filling out the card with the rules and the guidelines. I enjoyed it a little too much. I actually have 4 miscellaneous matches, and the rules are still in effect. One superstar, or a superstar can only be in one match. And it's not like I have any throwaway matches either. Like, these are all ones that could be considered for it. I just wanted to make sure they got on the card. And even with having these extra matches, I still don't have, Chris Jericho, Ric Flair, or even Roddy Piper on my card. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly I do have on this. Did
All
you
right.
want me to start or finish with my three that don't really?
Let's start with your three miscellaneous ones that you didn't have, and then
Okay,
we'll move on. We'll start
so
with those.
these are the three because I have a regular miscellaneous on here as well, like you're supposed to. But these are the three that I couldn't leave off. Um, Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero from WrestleMania 21, regarded as one of the better, if not one of the best, opening matches of all time. Also, from that same card, we've got Undertaker and Randy Orton. I debated on putting that in past versus present, but I ended up falling to here. And then I've also got Brock and Kurt Angle from their great match at WrestleMania 19. Again, this could have gone to one of the heavyweight title spots, but as you'll see, there wasn't room for it. I hate to sound like a Vince McMahon, but I did want to get everyone here on the card, especially if they fell within the guidelines.
So you sent yours over first, and I did mine after you. So I tried not to copy any of your matches the best I could.
Mm-hmm.
We only have two of the same. So if what is your first? What's your tag match?
I've got the TLC tag team match, which I know. Which one is your tag match?
Yeah. So when you sent yours over, I didn't want to. I also wanted to go TLC tag, but I figured if we're gonna have the same, I don't want to have like three or four of the same. So I
Yeah,
try to switch it up a little bit. So I just went with a match I think is equally as good, just not as iconic as the TLC tag, obviously. But we're going with the ladder match from WrestleMania 2000. Um,
yeah, and I
the
think
championship matches.
with us picking these, I think it shows because this is supposed to be for a tag title, not just a random tag match. Because I think there's been plenty of good random tag matches over Mania history.
Yeah.
There just hasn't been too many good tag team title matches. Uh, it's rare that it's not just kind of a throwaway. Like I remember WrestleMania 20, they did the Fatal 4-Way matches for both the Raw and SmackDown titles. A couple of times it's been on the pre-show. With the Ray and Eddie match I brought up, they were tag team champions and they faced each other. I know Russell. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of times where it's just not a focal point. So, I mean, props to the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and Hardys for making it a focal point in two different matches. next up, we've got the secondary title, which, I mean, could be for the Intercontinental, could be for the US, could be for the hardcore European, if someone found one they thought mattered enough. I went with the obvious choice, the one that's regarded as the greatest Mania match of all time. Took place here in Michigan. WrestleMania 3 is Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat. The less said about this one, I mean, realistically, the better. This is just one of those matches. Someone has to go out and watch for themselves to understand how good it truly is.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's one of the ones we have the same of, but I don't have it listed as my secondary title match. I have it a little bit later down. Um, my secondary championship match is I have two ladder matches. Both of our the TLC tag and the ladder match probably would not have happened if it wasn't that for this one. I have HBK Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10 in the WWF's first ever ladder match.
Yeah.
Hell of a
Yep.
ladder match, I think. No, I think they might.
Yeah.
Iconic. Not obviously not as spot fast as the two mentioned before, but the moment of Razor holding both of the Intercontinental Championships on top of the ladder, can't beat that.
Then for our two women's, I've got two recent matches. I know you've got two recent matches, but it's along the same thing. There hasn't been too many memorable women's championship matches at WrestleMania. I mean, you could argue the first Mania, where Leilani Kai and Wendy Richter fought each other. I know that Leilani Kai also fought Alundra Blaze later on. It was at either 10 or 11. And then there's kind of a lull point until, WrestleMania 18, WrestleMania 19. But the two women's matches I have are Becky, Ronda, and Charlotte, and then Sasha and Bianca, both of which memorable in their own right. Um, the Becky, Ronda, Charlotte one capped off Becky Lynch's The Man storyline, and she has ran with it ever since. And I think the Bianca Sasha was Bianca's coming out party. It's crazy to think that Sasha and Charlotte aren't the two that came out looking better with these matches.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even a year before each of these Manias, you would think, Charlotte would be the one holding the title up, Sasha would be the one holding the title up. Even now. These were definitely Becky and Bianca's. This is where they got their flowers. Ronda was there for the triple threat. She played her role. It wasn't too long after that we kind of started seeing the cracks in the foundation of Ronda Rousey.
This is my last, same as yours. I also had Sasha versus Bianca from WrestleMania 37. I had to put on because it was probably one of my favorite women's matches. It's up there, and also I'm a big fan of Sasha.
Mm-hmm.
And Bianca getting the win, having the first time ever two women African Americans main eventing WrestleMania, historic in its own right there. I think Bianca was the right choice to win in the match as well, and presumably match of the night as well. I have a hard time remembering what other matches were on night one because that was night one of 37. Night two was main evented with Roman, Edge, and Bryan. So for them, the main event night one, I'll go out on a limb and say it was one of the best matches on the card as well. And then my next one, I know this one gets a lot of hate. I know I did not like it when it happened, but in retrospect, this was actually a great match. I was in a toss up here with this one and Trish versus Mickie James at WrestleMania 21.
Yeah.
But I decided to go with this one. I just to keep it more modern. Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. Asuka losing, tapping out and her streak ending. Charlotte Flair winning again, not dropping the title to Royal Rumble winner Asuka. I think a lot of people were just really upset that this. Asuka's winning streak ended, and that both Shinsuke and Asuka both lost the world title matches that year. But I'm telling you, if you go back and watch the match and it's out of context, it was a good match. It was a good match between Flair and Asuka.
Oh yeah. Well, especially the one thing that fans always complain about is how WWE books himself into a corner with like super champions like Roman or undefeated streaks because you have to figure out who's going to beat him. Um, and the big thing with Goldberg's streak was, he lost to Starcade. There's interference and it looked sloppy. I think if you're going to have Asuka lose for her first, it makes sense for it to be a Mania. It makes sense for it to be against Charlotte Flair, who, for all rights, is the flag bearer for the women's division. She might not always be the top or the main event, but she's that.
And I do understand if you're out there and you're upset that she lost at the time too. Like that's fine because Asuka was gonna lose eventually.
Yep.
She did lose to Charlotte then, and she did win and have the title reign and drop to somebody else at SummerSlam or WrestleMania. That would have been awesome too, but it didn't. But doesn't not take away from the fact that this was a good match.
Oh yeah.
Past versus present.
We have two very different, different matches here.
Yes. I had to save the. Just go ahead. You go yours.
My past versus present is the first Rock versus Cena match. At the time, it was a toss-up when I was coming up with this, whether I do Hogan and Rock or Rock and Cena. Rock is clearly a generational talent. And it's just so crazy, because when you think past versus present, I mean, granted, the past is going to be able to wrestle a little bit, but you don't expect them to look as good as The Rock did in this match. This is one of those, it was supposed to be once in a lifetime. We clearly got lied to. And then we got the rematch the next year. And it was at that one that The Rock hurt himself. Yes. And has kind of stayed away ever since. I always have that what if in the back of my mind. If he could have made it through that match and not got injured, if we would have seen him come back more. If maybe he would have challenged Cena for the title at SummerSlam. Who knows? But that first Rock
had Roman versus Rock already by now.
Oh, I think so.
I don't think it's ever gonna happen now. There's no time because he wrestled at WrestleMania 20, right? And he
yep.
Time. That was his last match.
Yes.
20? Then he did not wrestle again until Survivor Series 2011.
Yeah.
Which is just under 7 years, just under 8 years, like 7 and 9 months or something like that.
Yeah, right around there.
Something like that. And then now he wrestled at WrestleMania 29 in April, and is now. I don't want to age us here, make you feel any older than we already do. WrestleMania 39 is coming up, so it's been almost 10 years since The Rock wrestled John Cena at WrestleMania 29. So I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Nope, but then again, I mean,
Stone Cold came back from
wrestling
at WrestleMania 38 to 19, so that's anything can happen. But I'm not. Like I said,
but yeah, that Rock Cena match, like I said, I think it gets overshadowed by the fact it wasn't once in a lifetime. They had the rematch the next year, and Cena won. But this was a good one at the time. This was a fun one. This is one of those few main events where you don't know who's going to win.
I have a good story about Rock versus Cena when it happened.
Yeah.
I think I just told you this. So I was a junior in high school, I believe, when this happened, or a sophomore. And
okay.
I always tried to get my friends involved in wrestling. So this is where when we were in college, where we had the betting sheets for the Big Four. This is where this stemmed from. So I invited a bunch of people over because it was over spring break to watch WrestleMania 28. And I got them all convinced. Oh, you remember The Rock? The Rock's gonna be there. He's fighting John Cena. Remember John Cena? So I get a bunch of people over there, all of them except for one or two, never really watched or cared about wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
One of my good friends at the time, his name's Joel. I we had this bet going for months leading into Rock versus Cena. I had Rock, he had Cena, and the loser, or the winner got to shave the loser's head or cut their
Oh,
whatever haircut they wanted. So of course, your boy won because
yeah.
I made the right choice and picked the Rock, and I gave this kid the worst crooked mohawk you've ever seen in your life. Unfortunately, his mom made him shave it before spring break ended.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so he did not have to go to school like that, but he did have it for a couple of days. He came to school bald the following Monday. But yeah, my past versus present match, uh, like I said, very very different, and I know it includes somebody you don't like,
I don't.
but I think this was a pretty good opener for WrestleMania 33. It was AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. I kind of felt like I had, with my later matches, I kind of put myself in the corner here, and I didn't want to take Rock versus Cena, and I have the Rock already booked in another match, so I could have done Rock versus Hogan,
Okay.
but I did not have the opportunity to do so. So I
This
went.
was
Go ahead.
so this was a match before Shane really got full of himself. I think this was one of the last ones because this was before Best in the World. This was before he fought the Miz. This is before the Braun Strowman. This is before that Royal Rumble return.
I think this match might have like gave him that like
That
cockiness.
overconfidence.
Yeah, because he wrestled AJ, who can wrestle a turd. He can wrestle Brad Shepard to make him look good.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and this was, I think this was AJ Styles like WrestleMania coming out party, because you remember the year before he had kind of like a mediocre match with Chris Jericho that did not get
Yeah,
very well fan reception just because he lost. I still think it was a halfway decent match. It wasn't like the worst fucking match ever put on television, like some wrestling fans would like make you think. But
yep,
this, for him to come back and have this match with Shane McMahon, because I knew going, if I remember correctly, the build going into this, people were like, oh my god, he was just W champion for fucking all year, and now he lost it to Cena at the Rumble, right?
yeah.
And oh, now he's fighting for fighting fucking Shane McMahon. Are you fucking kidding me? They can't give AJ Styles a main event match at Mania. I think
Yep,
he did pretty good. He did
yeah.
okay.
And then the next year he got his main event. It wasn't the last match on the card, but wasn't it the next year he fought Shinsuke?
Yeah, he had the world title match with Shinsuke finally.
Yeah.
The dream match.
All it took was for him to get over the Shane McMahon hump.
Yeah, that's alright though. He did alright.
Now we kind of hinted at it with my past versus present one. The next one would be out of retirement. I picked Austin Owens for that one. I'm still extremely pleased with how well Austin looked.
Yeah.
I know some people kind of they want to shit on it, but I mean, I don't think I expected him to go out there and hit any top rope planchas or torture racks, or he's a brawler, so he's going to brawl. And Kevin Owens was the perfect opponent to have for him. It makes me want more, but I don't want to see Austin too much and get over. I don't want him to get Goldberged, where he has a good match coming back, and it's like, yeah, I could enjoy this. And then the next match, something happens, and I'm like, oh no, he's showing his age.
I think Austin knows that too, which is good. I don't think he's gonna have another match quite like that this year if he does make an appearance.
No, I think if Austin comes back, the rumor is Triple H is trying to get Austin and Rock for 40, which makes sense. So maybe have him.
Philadelphia, I think, right?
Yeah, so we'll see how the fans. But the rumor for this year is him and LA Knight. But I don't think you could live up to the Austin Owens match Plus, I don't think you could live up to Austin coming out and helping McAfee against Austin Theory and Vince McMahon.
Yeah, because you thought he has match the night before. He's done for the weekend, and he's already on his ATV driving back to the ranch.
Yep.
But yeah, surprise, surprise. You never know. I'm a sucker for those kind of things. Just cheap nostalgia pops at Mania.
Yeah, I'd say Austin's always so good at them. He was the referee for the Goldberg Brock match at 20. He did the Piper's Pit / Carlitos, I forget what his talk show was called, moment at 21. I believe he was inducted at 22, or at least around it. He did the Donald Trump thing at 23. Fast forward a few years, and he helped open WrestleMania 30. WrestleMania 32, he came out with Mick Foley and Shawn Michaels.
So Cold was the 25. He was inducted in WrestleMania 25.
Oh, okay. And then, I mean, he's always, it seems like he's always been a part of Mania. He'll take a year or two off. But I don't think anyone's ever heard his music and booed.
No.
Or been like, oh, here comes Stone Cold.
I don't think they ever will. Yeah, so my out of retirement match, I think literally being forced out of retirement here by Vince McMahon. Another match from WrestleMania 34, John Cena versus The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Undertaker the year before WrestleMania 33, he fights Roman. Looks terrible, unfortunately. Or I don't want to say terrible. That's kind of as mean to him.
He just looked gassed.
His age caught up to him. His age and his injuries caught up to him.
I don't think he should have. I don't think it should have been the main event, and I don't think. Was it a Hell in a Cell?
No, it was. I think it was like a no holds barred type match.
I think it should have been and I know with Roman and Taker you can't do a main event, or you can't not have it be the main event, but it should have been middle of the card. That one should have got the 5 minutes that 34 did.
Yeah.
And then we're hearing recently in interviews that Taker trained for a 45-minute match with Cena, and then he got there, and Vince an hour before essentially told him it was a rib and that they'd get 5 minutes. He went to John and was like, hey, let's talk Vince out of it. We could probably convince him. And then Cena's like, nah, I've talked shit about you for weeks. You're just supposed to squash me. So Taker, the rumor is he almost walked out.
Yeah, because on paper it sounds kind of shitty.
Yeah.
John Cena, the biggest wrestler since Hogan and Austin, right? Getting squashed out to Taker, who just had the second worst match of his career the year prior, Mania match, I'd say, and he just supposed to go out and squash him in 5 minutes, but in reality, I think it was probably the right decision at the time.
Yeah.
Especially if we weren't getting no real build to it, and it's just John Cena just kind of promos to himself essentially every week to go out and have a 45-minute match, whatever. I had to put it here for the out of retirement match because The Undertaker literally came out of retirement for it. His match was gonna be at 33. He wasn't gonna wrestle ever again, and then Vince gives him the call after his surgery. He's like, "Come on, pal."
I do like how it shows the legitimacy in Undertaker matches at Mania, though, because the whole build was Cena. I've already won titles. He actually didn't have a match, so he's like, I'm gonna have to make one. Undertaker, and I mean, it goes so well to show. We've talked about it here before. That an Undertaker match is almost as important as a title match. Yeah. And even at the later stage of his career, having John Cena call him out for it, that just exemplifies it.
Yeah. So let's move on here. Your celebrity match. Who'd you have?
At first, I had LT and Bam Bam Bigelow, but then I realized that recently we got the great Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville. I would say that it started Sami Zayn's year out strong, but as it was graciously pointed out by a fan, um, April is not the beginning of the year.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Our mistake.
So
Our mistake.
yeah,
We fucked up. We'll own it.
oh yeah,
I dumbly thought that January was the beginning of the year, but obviously, if you're going by the WWE video games, the beginning of the year is April. So our
yeah,
mistake.
yeah.
We'll own up to it. We'll
Oh
admit
yeah,
it.
Sammy and Knoxville. I mean, it was fun. It was a lot more fun than I had any right to be. Um, that was, I think that's where Sami Zayn showed between that and then the Golden Egg, where he ratted out Austin Theory.
Yeah.
That was his two big moments that propelled him to the bloodline that we're at now.
Yeah, that Mania had a lot of good celebrity matches. That also had the Pat McAfee Austin Theory one, which was
Yep.
good. Even though it did get ruined with the Vince McAfee match right after, but Austin saved it. And then also, I don't know if you remember, Bad Bunny had that tag match that year.
Yeah.
I don't. It was against I think he teamed with Damian Priest, and I think Logan Paul was at that one too.
We've had a lot of good celebrities lately.
4 celebrity matches at one Mania. Wow. My celebrity matches. We're gonna go back in time a little bit, not too far. Another person Logan does not care for too well. I just remember. I just put something. I remember as a kid, I was super hyped for it. Big Show versus Floyd Mayweather, WrestleMania 24.
Yeah, I heard they had to. They tried giving Floyd Mayweather a script to follow, but he couldn't read it.
Yeah. I thought I thought it was fun as a kid. If I'm being completely honest, I probably not have gone back and watched it since then. I'm basically solely I'll be fully transparent here. I'm just going based on my childhood nostalgic glasses here.
Yeah,
For the build up to it.
I almost put the one of the Mr. T matches, just because of how well Piper and Hogan carried the first one, and how well Piper carried the second one. But like I said, there's just something about that Sammy Knoxville chemistry. I mean, McAfee in theory could have almost been one as well.
Yeah, I
And
had
who
McAfee
knows?
theory typed out, but I knew you were gonna put Sammy Knoxville on here, and I was like, okay, I don't want to have another one from last year's WrestleMania on our all-time Mania
Yeah,
card.
and who knows? In a year or two, if this gets updated, Logan Paul could certainly be on it,
Well, in
especially
that
with the
case,
Seth Rollins match coming up.
would you even consider him a celebrity match at this point? He's had so many matches. He's just a wrestler now, who used to
I
be
think
a YouTuber.
I think until he does full time, I'm still going to consider him a celebrity.
Fair enough. Fair
But
enough.
once he starts actually wrestling on Raw and SmackDown, which I heard could be the plan, then he could just be in the miscellaneous category, which is our next one. And I know I meant,
Let me just do mine first since you already had this one. This is my other one that was the same as yours. I put Randy Savage versus Steamboat here from WrestleMania 3.
yeah.
You already said everything that needs to be said about it. One of the greatest matches of all time. So I had to throw it onto the card somewhere on here. So I
So
had to throw
then
miscellaneous.
mine, I talked about how Ray and Eddie could be regarded as one of the best first matches in Mania history. I have what many regard as the greatest opening match in Bret and Owen Hart. These two went out and they definitely stole the show at WrestleMania 10. It was nice to see Owen get the win on his big brother, but like Chris Jericho puts it in many of the Hart family documentaries, it was such a big brother, little brother thing to have big brother lose to little brother, but then go on and main event and win the title in the main event. So then at the end of the show, you have Owen just standing at the top of the Titantron, just looking in disgust as Bret is hoisted up and has the title. There's so many more. I mean, I listed my three
Yeah.
other miscellaneous ones, but
Like, yeah.
yeah, I could have done.
The tag of only being able to use each wrestler one time.
Yeah,
is what sucks because like if you can't put Bret Austin on here, we can't do
Well,
Shawn Michaels Undertaker on here.
well, I knew Brett was going to be in my miscellaneous category. I just didn't know if I was going to do Brett and Mr. Perfect, Brett and Roddy Piper, Brett and Austin, Brett and Owen. Um, Brett pretty much dominated this category for me.
Yeah, I think you made the right choice though. I think Bret Owen would be the one I would pick out of those ones as well. Just like you said, Bret Owen winning earlier in the night, like getting the upper hand over his brother,
Mm-hmm.
and then Bret coming back and winning the title at the end of the night. I think that was just perfectly played. But we have two heavyweight championship matches left to go. What was your first heavyweight championship match? Because as I said before, my miscellaneous was Savage Steamboat.
My first heavyweight title was from WrestleMania 20. It was Benoit, Michaels, and Triple H. I mean, even with all of the, obviously the terrible double murder suicide that was involved in the Benoit home, this is the one, you always have people that's like, oh, if I were to watch a Benoit match, what would it be? This is the one. I mean, I know he had some battles with Angle and Jericho,
Yeah.
but this match it was everything. Michaels had his moments, seeing Benoit finally win the big one, and then Triple H finally put over someone from WCW cleanly by that in the middle of the ring. It was just a big moment, and then following it up with Benoit and Guerrero celebrating in the ring, what was a touching moment, and what ended up turning into one of the more darker images in WWE history. I think this is a great first heavyweight title match to have.
I think, I just think it's sad that this will be the the WrestleMania main event lost
Yeah.
to time essentially.
Yep. Shawn Michaels versus Triple H versus other competitor for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, this match will never get properly televised in DVDs or whatever. It's obviously still available on the Peacock. On Peacock, you can still watch it, but eventually, a couple of years from now, I know I don't think we're quite there yet. There'll be wrestling fans who have essentially no idea that this match probably happened.
Oh yeah.